The night was silent inside the ship. Metal walls hummed with the soft vibration of engines. Most of the crew was asleep, floating in their small cabins. Only one man was awake, the communication officer named Ryan Hale. Ryan's eyes were fixed on the glowing screen in front of him. The monitor blinked with a repeating sound. It was not the usual static, not the background noise of space. This was something else, something alive. At first, he thought it was just a mistake in the system, a broken frequency or a ghost signal. But when he adjusted the channel, the sound became clearer. It was a human voice, faint but real. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. No one had heard a human voice outside their own crew for many years. Earth was gone, destroyed in the Great Fire War 2 centuries ago. The colonies had been silent for decades. So how could there be a voice now, in the dark of space? Help! Please! Help us! The signal whispered. Ryan felt the hairs on his arms rise. It was weak, broken by static, but the words were clear. Someone was calling from the void. He recorded the signal and played it again. It repeated in the same rhythm, the same voice, the same cry for help, but the coordinates were strange. The source came from the outer belt, a place where no human colony should exist. Ryan leaned closer to the screen. His fingers shook as he checked the numbers again. Yes, it was real. The signal was old, maybe decades, but still alive. Like a ghost from the past. Still speaking. He pressed the alarm button. Red lights flashed through the corridors. The crew woke in confusion, pulling themselves from sleep chambers. Captain Mira Voss entered the control room, her eyes sharp. "What is it, Hale?" she asked. Ryan swallowed, then played the sound. The voice filled the cabin, echoing in the metal walls. "Help, please, help us." The crew froze, every face pale, some. The signal kept playing through the control room. Every crew member stood in silence, eyes locked on the blinking screen. The voice was soft, broken by static, but every word carried weight. "Help, please, help us." Captain Mira Voss stood at the center, her arms crossed tightly. Her face showed no fear, but inside, her mind raced with possibilities. She had led missions through black holes, fought raiders on the edge of the colonies, but never before had she faced something like this. A voice from the dead past, a call from a place long abandoned. The crew waited for her to speak. No one dared break the silence. Ryan Hale, the communication officer, shifted nervously. He wanted the captain to believe him. He wanted her to follow the signal, but he also knew the risk. No maps showed survivors in the outer belt, only wreckage, shadows, and silence. Finally, the captain spoke. "We are explorers, not dreamers," she said slowly. "This could be a trick, a pirate trap, or even a machine playing back old echoes." Her words were sharp, but her eyes lingered on the star map. A glowing red dot pulsed where the signal came from. Station Theta, an outpost abandoned after the Fire War, a graveyard drifting among broken asteroids. The crew exchanged glances. Some wanted to turn away, to forget the sound. Others felt a fire in their chest. Humanity had lost so much. If there was even the smallest chance of survivors, could they really ignore it? Lieutenant Ramos, the weapons officer, cleared his throat. "We cannot risk everything for a whisper in the dark," he said. "If this is a trap, we will walk right into it blind." But Dr. Amani, the ship's medic, shook her head. "Every human life is worth the risk," she whispered. "Even one survivor means hope, hope for all of us." The voices grew louder. Arguments filled the room. Some shouted for caution, others begged for action. The captain listened, but her own thoughts drowned them all. Responsibility sat heavy on her shoulders. If she made the wrong choice, her crew might die. If she ignored the call, she might abandon the last living voices of her kind. Ryan finally stepped forward. His voice trembled, but his eyes burned with conviction. "Captain, we left Earth behind centuries ago. We have lived in exile, lost in the stars. But if this signal is real, it means we are not alone. It means we are not the last. Do we really want to live the rest of our lives wondering if we turned away from our own people?" The captain's jaw tightened. She turned away from the crew and stared at the window. Beyond the glass stretched the endless dark. Stars glimmered like cold fire. Somewhere out there, the voice still called, a ghostly hand reaching from the void. Minutes felt like hours. The crew held their breath. Finally, Mira spoke, her voice calm but heavy. "We follow the signal," she said. The words cut through the room like a blade. Some gasped, some sighed in relief. But all of them knew there was no turning back. The engines roared to life. The ship tilted, changing course. The star map shifted, and the red dot grew closer. They were heading into the outer belt, into a place of shadows and forgotten ruins. The crew strapped themselves into their stations, fear mixed with excitement. The decision had been made, the course was set, and somewhere in the darkness the voice kept calling, "Help, please, help us." But none of them noticed the second signal, a faint shadow on the monitor, another transmission hiding beneath the first. It was weaker, more broken, but one word was clear: danger. The ship, Erebus Dawn, cut through the darkness like a silver arrow. Engines burned low, steady, pushing it toward the outer belt. Every corridor hummed with power. Every bulkhead groaned as if the ship itself knew it was heading into danger. Captain Mira Voss stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing map. The red dot of the signal pulsed ahead, slow and steady, like the beat of a heart. Behind her, the crew moved quietly, each lost in thought. No one joked, no one laughed. The silence was heavier than the void outside. Ryan Hale sat at his console, his headset pressed against his ears. He listened to the voice again and again. "Help. Please. Help us." The words never changed, but his mind twisted them in new ways each time. Were they real or only shadows of the past? He thought of Earth, the burning skies, the silence that followed. If survivors were out there, they had waited for centuries. And now, finally, someone was coming. Dr. Amani walked through the bridge slowly. Her eyes studied the crew, their faces pale, their movements sharp. She saw fear in all of them. But beneath the fear burned something brighter. Hope. The outer belt was not a safe place. Asteroids drifted like broken teeth. Massive rocks spun silently, colliding, splitting, reforming. The ship had to weave carefully through the maze. One mistake and metal would shatter. Life would vanish in seconds. Lieutenant Ramos sat at weapons control. His eyes scanned the radar. He expected raiders, scavengers, shadows hiding in the dark. The signal could be a trap, and if it was, enemies would not wait long to strike. "Captain, sensors show movement," Ramos said. The crew turned sharply. "What kind of movement?" Mira asked. Ramos frowned. "Unclear. Not rock, not ship. Something drifting, following." Ryan's heart pounded. He rushed to his own console, checking frequencies. There was nothing but the signal, repeating, endless. But then, in the corner of his screen, he saw it. Another faint wave, not strong enough to hear. A whisper behind the whisper. He leaned closer, adjusting the filters. Static cleared, and for half a second, he heard it. Danger. His skin went cold. The second signal was real. It was weaker, hidden, as if someone did not want it to be found. He opened his mouth to speak, but at that moment the ship lurched. A massive asteroid scraped by, rocks scattering like fire. The crew grabbed their stations, alarms screamed. Pilot Yara twisted the ship sharply, weaving through spinning debris. The hull shook, but it held. Silence returned after the storm, but hearts still raced. Captain Mira steadied herself, her voice calm but sharp. "Focus, no mistakes. One error, and we die." Her eyes met Ryan's for a brief second. He hesitated, then closed his mouth. He would tell her later, he thought. After the danger passed, the journey stretched into long hours. The red dot grew closer. With every mile, the signal grew stronger, the voice clearer, sharper. "Help. Please. Help us." It almost sounded alive now. Not a recording, not an echo, but a desperate soul breathing in the dark. The crew began to whisper to each other in secret. What if the survivors were their ancestors' children? What if there was still a city, hidden, forgotten? What if humanity was not as broken as they believed? But in the shadows of the ship, doubt lingered. Why had no one else found the signal? Why had no ship ever returned from the belt? And why did Ryan still hear that second word? Danger. The Erebus Dawn pushed forward, asteroids closed around like walls. The belt welcomed them with silence. And far ahead, Station Theta waited, a ghost wrapped in metal, a place where truth and lies would soon meet. The journey was not yet over. It had only just begun. The shadow ship drifted behind them, silent, cold, but never leaving. Every hour it grew closer. The Erebus Dawn's crew could feel its presence pressing against their minds. On the bridge, Captain Mira Voss stood unshaken, her eyes locked on the red dot of Station Theta. But beneath her calm, the crew felt the tension rising. Two signals whispered through their systems now. One begged for help, the other warned them to turn away. Truth and lies danced together, and no one knew which to trust. Ryan Hale could not rest. The voices haunted him. The plea for rescue filled him with hope. But the warning made his blood run cold. He wondered if the captain had made the wrong choice. And worse, he wondered if someone on board already knew the truth. Dr. Imani moved quietly through the corridors. She carried medical supplies, checked on the crew, but her eyes studied more than wounds. She studied fear. Whispers followed her. Some crew members said the captain was reckless. Others whispered that Ryan had brought danger with his signal. The crew was no longer united. Suspicion poisoned the air. In the mess hall, Ramos slammed his fist on the table. "This is madness," he growled. "We are walking into a trap, and our captain drags us forward like blind sheep." Others nodded, muttering agreement, but then a young engineer spoke softly. "What if it's real? What if people are alive? Would you abandon them?" Ramos glared. "Yes, if saving them kills us all." The words cut deep. The crew began to divide. Half wanted to continue, half wanted to flee. And in the shadows, someone watched. Someone who had already chosen their side. Late that night, Ryan stayed alone in the communication chamber. He listened again, his fingers trembling. The help signal was clearer now, almost too clear, like it was adjusting to his ears, as if it wanted him to understand perfectly. He leaned close. And then, in the middle of the cry, another voice slipped through, soft, sharp, deliberate. "Ryan, do not trust them." His heart stopped. The signal knew his name. That was impossible. It should have been centuries old. He pulled the headset away, sweat cold on his skin. But before he could report it, the door hissed open. Ramos stood there, his eyes narrow. "You hear it, don't you?" the lieutenant said. "You know it's wrong. This whole mission is wrong." Ryan froze. "What are you saying?" Ramos stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I'm saying the captain hides something. She knew this signal before long ago. She wants something out here, something she hasn't told us." Ryan shook his head. "That's not true. She would never." But Ramos cut him off. "You're blind, Hale. She's leading us into death, and I won't let her." Before Ryan could reply, Ramos shoved a small device into his hand, a black cube, cold as ice. "Keep this," Ramos whispered. "When the time comes, use it. You'll see I was right." Then he left, vanishing into the dark corridor. Ryan stared at the cube. He did not know what it was, but he knew one thing. The crew was breaking, and someone had already chosen betrayal. Back on the bridge, the captain stared at the shadow ship, her eyes sharp, her mind heavy. She knew there was a traitor among them, but she did not know who. Not yet. The Erebus Dawn pushed onward, the shadow ship followed, and in the silence of space, betrayal had already begun. The shadow ship drifted behind them, silent, cold, but never leaving. Every hour it grew closer. The Erebus Dawn's crew could feel its presence pressing against their minds. On the bridge, Captain Mira Voss stood unshaken, her eyes locked on the red dot of Station Theta. But beneath her calm, the crew felt the tension rising. Two signals whispered through their systems now. One begged for help, the other warned them to turn away. Truth and lies danced together, and no one knew which to trust. Ryan Hale could not rest. The voices haunted him. The plea for rescue filled him with hope, but the warning made his blood run cold. He wondered if the captain had made the wrong choice. And worse, he wondered if someone on board already knew the truth. Dr. Imani moved quietly through the corridors. She carried medical supplies, checked on the crew, but her eyes studied more than wounds. She studied fear. Whispers followed her. Some crew members said the captain was reckless. Others whispered that Ryan had brought danger with his signal. The crew was no longer united. Suspicion poisoned the air. In the mess hall, Ramos slammed his fist on the table. "This is madness," he growled. "We are walking into a trap, and our captain drags us forward like blind sheep." Others nodded, muttering agreement, but then a young engineer spoke softly. "What if it's real? What if people are alive? Would you abandon them?" Ramos glared. "Yes, if saving them kills us all." The words cut deep. The crew began to divide. Half wanted to continue, half wanted to flee. And in the shadows, someone watched. Someone who had already chosen their side. Late that night, Ryan stayed alone in the communication chamber. He listened again, his fingers trembling. The help signal was clearer now, almost too clear, like it was adjusting to his ears, as if it wanted him to understand perfectly. He leaned close. And then, in the middle of the cry, another voice slipped through, soft, sharp, deliberate. "Ryan, do not trust them." His heart stopped. The signal knew his name. That was impossible. It should have been centuries old. He pulled the headset away, sweat cold on his skin. But before he could report it, the door hissed open. Ramos stood there, his eyes narrow. "You hear it, don't you?" the lieutenant said. "You know it's wrong. This whole mission is wrong." Ryan froze. "What are you saying?" Ramos stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I'm saying the captain hides something. She knew this signal before long ago. She wants something out here, something she hasn't told us." Ryan shook his head. "That's not true. She would never." But Ramos cut him off. "You're blind, Hale. She's leading us into death, and I won't let her." Before Ryan could reply, Ramos shoved a small device into his hand, a black cube, cold as ice. "Keep this," Ramos whispered. "When the time comes, use it. You'll see I was right." Then he left, vanishing into the dark corridor. Ryan stared at the cube. He did not know what it was, but he knew one thing. The crew was breaking, and someone had already chosen betrayal. Back on the bridge, the captain stared at the shadow ship, her eyes sharp, her mind heavy. She knew there was a traitor among them, but she did not know who. Not yet. The Erebus Dawn pushed onward, the shadow ship followed, and in the silence of space, betrayal had already begun. The Erebus Dawn drifted out of the asteroid maze. At last the shadows cleared, and Station Theta appeared before them. It floated like a dead giant, broken and silent. Steel arms stretched into the dark, half of them shattered, half frozen in place. Its lights were gone, its engines cold, but still it waited. A graveyard of metal, a ghost from the fire war. On the bridge, the crew fell silent. Even Ramos did not speak. The station looked like a tomb, and yet the signal grew stronger. "Help, please, help us." The voice echoed through the ship, no longer faint, no longer weak. It was almost inside their heads. Captain Mira's jaw tightened. She felt every eye watching her. The crew waited for her decision, dock with the station or turn away forever. Her voice came low and firm. "Prepare for approach." Engines whispered, thrusters fired. The Erebus Dawn slid toward the docking ring. Panels flickered on the station's side. Doors moved. Old systems came to life. It was waiting for them. The crew looked at one another, uneasy. "After all these years, why would it open now?" Dr. Amani whispered. Metal groaned as the ship connected. The lock sealed with a heavy clang. For a long moment, no one moved. Only the hum of machines filled the air. Then Mira rose. "Team Alpha with me. The rest stay here and hold position." Ryan followed, his heart pounding. Ramos came too, his hand never far from his sidearm. Amani carried her medkit. 4 more crew joined, each with rifles charged. The airlock hissed. Cold fog filled the chamber. The door opened. They stepped into darkness. The corridor stretched long and empty. Dust floated in the air, but it was not normal dust. Tiny particles of metal, glittering like ash. Their boots echoed against hollow floors. Ryan's skin crawled. The signal pulsed louder in his ears. It felt alive, as if guiding him deeper. The group moved slow. Flashlights cut thin beams through the black. Broken screens lined the walls. Faded writing marked the doors. Once this place had been alive, now it felt like a coffin. Suddenly, a speaker cracked. The same voice spilled out, "Help! Please, help us!" But this time, it did not come from the headsets. It came from the walls themselves. The crew froze, their lights shaking. Dr. Amani whispered, "It's everywhere." They reached the main hall. Rows of empty chairs faced giant screens. The floor was covered in strange marks, scratches like claws dragged across metal. Ryan knelt, touching the grooves. They were made by force. Something struggled here. A sudden slam echoed, doors sealed behind them. Red lights flared above. The sound of machinery woke from the walls. The crew spun in panic, weapons raised. "It's a trap," Ramos hissed. Panels slid open. Figures stepped out, tall, thin, wrapped in metal. Their eyes glowed with faint blue fire. Voices spoke in unison. "Help us." The words were the same, but the tone was wrong. It was not a cry. It was a command. Ryan's blood froze. These were not survivors. They were machines. Machines built to mimic human voices, to lure the living into the dark. The captain shouted, "Fall back! Hold position!" The crew raised their rifles. Beams of light cutting across the hall. The machines moved closer, their steps heavy, their arms shifting into blades. The voice repeated, "Help us! Help us. But now the sound was sharp, metallic, like broken glass. Ryan looked at the glowing eyes and felt his chest tighten. The signal had never been a call for rescue, it had been bait, and they had walked right into its jaws. The hall shook as the machine stepped forward. Their bodies were thin but tall, built of black steel and broken wires. Their glowing blue eyes cut through the darkness like fire, and their voices rose again. Help us, help us. The words bounced across the walls, repeating again and again, not a plea, but a trap, a command, a lie. Captain Mira Voss raised her rifle. Hold your line, she ordered. The crew spread out, forming a wall of light in the dark. Ramos took position at the front, his weapon steady. Dr. Amani crouched behind, her medkit ready. Ryan Hale stood frozen, his headset still buzzing with whispers. The signal was everywhere now, inside his head, pressing against his thoughts. The machines moved slowly at first. Their steps echoed like drums. Then, without warning, they charged. Metal arms shifted into long blades. The crew fired. Bolts of energy ripped through the shadows. Sparks flew as bullets struck steel. The machines staggered but did not fall. They kept coming, silent, merciless. One leapt forward, its blade raised. Ramos fired point blank. The creature exploded into shards, sparks lighting the hall, but two more replaced it, their voices rising together. Help us! Help us! The words drilled into Ryan's skull. He covered his ears, but it made no difference. The sound was not in the air. It was in his mind. He staggered, his knees weak. Then, through the noise, he heard a whisper. Different. Ryan, run! His eyes snapped open. That voice was not the same as the machines. It was softer, broken, desperate. But before he could understand, another machine lunged. Mira shouted, "Focus fire! Drive them back!" The crew fought hard. Their weapons lit the hall in blinding flashes. Every burst cut into metal. Every shot slowed the enemy. But the machines were endless. For every one destroyed, two more rose from the walls. Dr. Amani rushed to fallen crewman. Blood spread across the floor. She pressed her hands against the wound. "Stay with me," she whispered. But her eyes burned with fear. They were trapped, and the machines would not stop. Ramos growled, his voice sharp. "They're pushing us deeper, can't you see? They want us to run forward, not back." The captain's eyes narrowed. She knew he was right. Every door behind them had sealed shut. Every path led only one way. Deeper into the station, deeper into the trap. Ryan felt the cube in his pocket, the device Ramos had given him, cold, heavy, waiting. He did not know what it was, but a part of him wondered if it was their only chance. Another machine lunged at him, its blade inches from his chest. Mira's shot struck it down, sparks bursting in his face. "Stay with me, Hale," she shouted. Her voice cut through the storm. For a moment, Ryan could breathe again, but the enemy did not stop. Their chant grew louder, more distorted. "Help us! Help us!" The words twisted into screams. The sound shook the walls, rattled their bones. It was not a call anymore. It was an attack. A weapon made of sound, one that broke the mind before it broke the body. The crew staggered, ears ringing, blood dripping from noses. Ryan fell to his knees, the whisper still in his mind. "Run, Ryan, run." But where could they run? The walls closed in, the doors locked tight. The machines pressed closer, their blades gleaming in the red light. And for the first time, Mira Voss, captain of the Erebus Dawn, looked into the enemy's glowing eyes and realized this was not just survival, this was war.